Okay, so what does genius actually look like? Let's be honest, it feels mysterious, right? Well, today, we're going to create a new map for creativity. This is a map that uncovers the hidden roads, the secret paths, leading to those truly world-changing ideas. And it really all boils down to this one question. You and I, we have new ideas all the time. But what is the secret sauce that separates a random thought from a breakthrough that completely changes the course of history? Well, the answer is an understanding that not all creativity is the same. So let's start with a really solid definition from the scholar Margaret Bowden. She says that real creativity isn't just about being new. It has to hit a trifecta. It's got to be new, surprising, and valuable. It's that specific combination that turns a simple novelty into something that actually matters. Now, this is where it gets really cool. Bowden splits this idea into two types. First, you've got P creativity. That's psychological creativity. This is your personal aha moment. It's brand new to you. And then you have H creativity. That's historical creativity. This is an idea that has never been thought of before in the entire history of humankind. One is a personal win, the other is a win for humanity itself. To really get how we arrive at that game-changing H creativity, we need an analogy. So, I want you to imagine any field of knowledge, physics, music, art, whatever, as a giant map, a conceptual space. It's got roads that are well-traveled, known landmarks, and even borders that define the territory. So if all knowledge is just a map, how in the world do you find something that's historically new? Well, Margaret Bowden says there aren't a million ways to do it. Turns out there are really only three main roads to surprise. Three very specific strategies you can use to navigate this map and find hidden treasure. And here they are. You've got the combinational road, the exploratory road, and the transformational road. Each one is a totally different way of thinking, a different way of moving through this landscape of ideas to find something that could, quite literally, change everything. All right, let's dive into the first path. This one is all about making brilliant new connections. You can think of it as the art of the remix. It's about seeing a link between two things that absolutely no one else has ever noticed before. So, combinational creativity, it's like building a bridge between two totally separate maps. You take familiar ideas, familiar landmarks from different worlds, and you connect them in a way that's, well, just genius. That famous comparison of an atom to the solar system, that's it. That's pure combinational creativity. It could only happen because someone knew both maps, astronomy and physics, well enough to see that hidden connection. Now for our second path, exploratory creativity. This one isn't about connecting different maps at all. Nope. This is about picking one map and deciding you're going to master it so completely that you find its deepest, most hidden corners. This is the path of the master. Seriously, picture a jazz musician who knows a scale so well, so inside and out, that they can play combinations that are technically correct by the rules of music, but have just never been heard before. They are pushing at the absolute boundaries, the edge cases of an existing system, just to see what's there. And that brings us to the third, and honestly, the rarest and most powerful path of all, transformational creativity. This is where the earth-shattering paradigm shifts really happen. See, when you're on this path, you don't just explore the map, you fundamentally redraw it. You find a rule that everyone takes for granted, and you break it. This is the kind of creativity that makes something that was impossible yesterday suddenly seem obvious today, because you've changed the very definition of what's allowed. Okay, so that's the theory, which is great, but let's see how these three paths have actually created some of the biggest landmarks in the entire history of human genius. Let's see it in action. From an ancient piece of art to the cutting edge of modern science, you have to understand that these breakthroughs weren't just random flashes of lightning. They were the direct result of people using these specific creative strategies, these specific ways of navigating the map of what they knew. Gutenberg's printing press is maybe the perfect example of combinational creativity. I mean, think about it. He didn't invent the wine press, he didn't invent movable type, and he didn't invent oil-based ink. But he was the very first person to see how these three totally separate technologies from three different maps could be mashed together to create something that would literally change the course of human history. And this is a brilliant example of the exploratory path. The physics needed for a rocket to land vertically, it already existed. It was on the map, but it was considered an edge case, a theoretical possibility that most people thought was just way too hard, way too impractical. SpaceX just explored that edge relentlessly, over and over, until they mastered it. They basically turned a dusty, forgotten corner of the aerospace map into a superhighway. And for a truly transformational leap, you have to look at CRISPR. Scientists took this really obscure defense mechanism from a bacteria's immune system and had this wild idea that it could be used as a super precise gene editing tool. This didn't just add a new road to the map of genetics, it gave us the power to redraw the map of life itself. It completely changed what we thought was biologically possible. So the big question is, how can you use this? Because this isn't just for historical figures in a textbook. You can actually build the habits of age creativity right into your own life and work. Let's get into a really practical, actionable framework. Okay, here's a daily protocol you can try. Spend about 80% of your time in what's called exploit mode. This is mastery, pushing your current projects to their limits. That's your exploratory path. But, and this is so important, dedicate the other 20% to explore mode. That's your time to play, to try stuff that feels weird or even wrong. Then, every day, do a dissociation drill. It sounds fancy, but all you do is force a connection between two completely unrelated concepts. It's a workout for your combinational brain. And then, once a week, take a moment to actually write down the implicit rules you always follow. Because you can't break the rules if you don't even know what they are. And look, transformational work, it takes courage. It takes real intellectual courage. But you can train that muscle. Try keeping an impossible list, and for each item, ask yourself, what one rule would have to change to make this possible? Give yourself a reputational risk quota. Do one project a year that you know people probably won't get. And practice opposite world modeling. Just for fun, build a little theory where a core assumption of your field is totally false. It really stretches your mind. All right, let's bring this right into the here and now. We have a powerful new tool in this whole quest, a brand new partner for navigating these conceptual spaces. And that is, of course, artificial intelligence. What is so incredible about AI is that it just blows past our natural human bottlenecks. You know how we get stuck on one idea? AI can generate thousands of them for basically zero cost. It gives us this industrial scale fluency, letting us explore the map and generate new combinations at a speed and a scale that was just unimaginable before. This leads to a huge mindset shift, and it's captured perfectly by this idea of error correction denial. The idea is that a glitch isn't a mistake, it's a signpost. It's pointing to a totally new part of the map. Think about this. When the Roland TB-303 synthesizer failed to sound like a real bass guitar, producers didn't try to fix the error. No, they leaned into it. They stabilized that glitch, and they created the entire genre of acid house music. They treated a bug as a feature. So, we've got the framework. We've got the historical proof. We've got the daily habits. And now, we have these incredibly powerful new tools to augment our own minds. The ability to explore, to combine, and to totally transform our conceptual maps is more accessible than it has ever been. So the only question left is, what impossible corner of your map will you make possible?